who is Domovoy? Why did Slavs believe he lived in every home? How did people try to communicate with him? Could the Domovoy be kind of energy that we can't see? And why even today do some people let the cat enter a new home first? The ancestors of Slavs believed that all forests, rivers and other places were home to spirits. So if there was a spirit of forest, a spirit of water, or a spirit of mountains, it felt completely natural to believe that a special spirit also lived in their own home. According to Slavic mythology, the Domovoy lives in every home. He is essentially the spirit of the house, a guardian and protector of the hearth, as well as the family that lives there. It was believed that the Domovoys were under the protection of the old Slavic pagan god Veles, from whom they inherited certain abilities, like predicting the future and healing both animals and humans. The household spirit was most often imagined as a small, hairy old man with a beard dressed in white clothes. He was often described as having a rather stern or grumpy appearance with some animal-like features that hinted at his otherworldly nature, such as long, pointy ears, fur matching the hair color of the homeowner, and the long claws. The Domovoy's shaggy and hairy look was seen as a sign of wealth for the household. So in poor families, the Domovoy was said to walk around naked. The Domovoy could appear in many different forms, and sometimes even took on the shape of an animal, object or other people. Most often he appeared as a cat, mouse, snake, bear or as a missing family member. Among Western Slavs, the Domovoy was often imagined as a gnome in a red hat. In some regions, people believed that this spirit was born as an old man and died as a baby, meaning time moved backward for him. Sounds familiar? Hundreds of years before the curious case of Benjamin Button came out, the Slavs had already come up with a story like that. So who exactly is the Domovoy and where does he come from? There were several different beliefs about his origins. What most agreed on though was that spirit wasn't just responsible for everyday household matter. He watched over the well-being of the entire family. If people in the house argued or fought, it was believed that the Domovoy would surely punish them. A home without Domovoy was seen as cold, unwelcoming and unable to hold happiness. That's why during a move, people would often invite the Domovoy to come with them, either on the last night in the old house or right before stepping into the new one. The ancient Slavs deeply respected and even worshipped the household hearth, believing the Domovoy was the very spirit of fire itself. There was even an old ritual connected to this belief. At exactly noon, hot coals from the hearth were placed into a clay pot and covered with tablecloth. Then the family would say, "Welcome, grandfather, to our new home." The pot was carefully carried to the new house, where hosts greeted it with bread, salt and low bows, saying, "Welcome, grandfather, to your new place." They brought the pot inside, removed the tablecloth and shook it out in all four corners of the house, as if releasing the Domovoy into his new home. The hot coals were then placed into the new hearth, and the pot itself was broken and buried near the entrance, sealing the spirit's presence in the new dwelling. The ancient Slavs saw themselves as the grandchildren of pagan gods and believed that the Domovoy might be the spirit of a long-dead ancestors, someone who returned to the world of the living through the fire to watch over their descendants. The Slavs believed that the Domovoy should always be treated with respect and never ignored. If people forgot about him or failed to show him attention, he could change from a kind helper to a troublesome spirit. An offended Domovoy might bring misfortune, cause problems, or make the owner's life so difficult that they would be forced to leave their own home. An angry Domovoy was known to cause all sorts of mischief. He might hide things, make frightening noises under the floor or in the attic at night, break dishes, pull blankets of sleeping people, eat leftover food, tangle yarn, and more. To avoid upsetting the Domovoy, people followed many rules. It was important to avoid arguments, especially near animals in barn. You shouldn't stand on a trash pile. Women weren't supposed to sleep without underwear or leave house with loose hair. It was also considered wrong to work or feed a baby at night or to go to bed without having dinner. And most importantly, you should never sit in Domovoy's favorite spot or put anything there. It was seen as a serious offense. After the Slavs adopted Christianity, many pagan beliefs gradually came to be seen as evil or unclean, and the Domovoy was no exception. Some began to say he was a devil or a demon who could bring nothing good. However, most people weren't ready to let go of this spirit they saw as a true master and protector of the home. They continued to believe that Domovoy was a kind and a helpful spirit, not something to fear. When a new house was being built, people would place a coin or sometimes 4 coins on each corner of the foundation for Domovoy. When baking the first loaf of bread in new oven, they would cut off the end piece, sprinkle it with salt and toss it under the stove as an offering to him. Even the trees used for building the house had to be cut down with care. Special rituals were followed, and people would apologize to the spirits of nature so as not to anger them. It was believed that if these rules were broken, the Domovoy who moved into the house would be angry and would take revenge on the family. Throughout the ages, there were certain rules for living peacefully with Domovoy, and people were encouraged to follow them. One of the most important customs was to regularly leave him a treat from the family table, often a piece of bread, porridge, or something sweet. This wasn't just a habit, but a way of showing respect and attention to the spirit. What mattered most was that the offering wasn't just a formality, but a sincere gesture, a way to keep a friendly relationship with Domovoy. The Slavs believed that this tradition helped maintain a connection with their ancestors. And on a practical level, if the Domovoy was happy and well treated, he would protect the house and its people from trouble and misfortune. The Slavs were expected to show small signs of respect to Domovoy throughout the year, but once a year they celebrated a special occasion, Domovoy's Day. The most commonly mentioned date is February 10. On this day, the Domovoy had to be treated with extra care and attention. Families would prepare special offerings just for him, showing their gratitude and asking for his continued protection and kindness in the year ahead. It was believed that sometimes you could even talk to Domovoy. In those rare moments, he would show signs of his presence in a physical way. If someone had important questions or worries, they could ask the Domovoy and then wait for a response. His answer might come as the creaking of wooden beams, rustling under the floor, or loud cracking of fire in the stove. When sitting down to eat, people would sometimes say, "Domovoy, Domovoy, come share this meal with me," as a way of inviting him to join and symbolically share their food with the household spirit. Through his behavior or sudden appearance, the Domovoy was believed to warn the family of danger and sometimes even protect them from misfortune. Before the death of family member, he might howl, snore loudly, pace around, knock on walls, slam doors, meow like a cat, leave bruises on the sleeping person's body, or touch them with a cold, bare hand. Before a fire, it was said that he would knock on the window as a warning. If the Domovoy cried, it was seen as a sign of trouble ahead. But if he laughed, it meant happiness and good fortune were on the way. Alongside the male image of the Domovoy, some Slavic regions also had female version of this spirit. In some traditions, she was seen as the Domovoy's wife, while in others, the Domovoy herself was a woman, a mythical mistress of the house who watched over the home and its inhabitants just like her male counterpart. In Belarusian folklore, there are legends about female house spirits known as Domovichki, who never married. These spirits were believed to sometimes lure young men into relationships with them, using their charm or magical influence to draw them in. The Domovoy, as a being closely connected to both the household hearth and the spirit world, was believed to have a special bond with cats, creatures also thought to sense and influence invisible energies. The Slavs believed that Domovoys and household cats were close friends, sharing a special connection. Cats were thought to see things that humans couldn't, so they could see the Domovoy and even communicate with him regularly. This belief still lives on in some Slavic countries like Ukraine, Belarus and Russia, where many people continue the old tradition of letting a cat enter a new home first. It's said the Domovoy rides in on the cat's back, moving into the new house together with the family. Among the southern Slavs, in places like Bulgaria, Montenegro and Bosnia, people believed that the Domovoy could also take the form of a household snake. These snakes were never harmed. Instead, they were fed and protected, as they were seen as sacred guardians of the home. Let's sum it up. Today, many people may see Domovoy as just a myth, but their theories, some even supported by modern scientists like quantum physics, suggesting that our material world might not be the only one. The human eye is limited and can't perceive everything around us. There are stories and legends about cats being able to see across multi-dimensions, which means that spirits might be just as real to them as we are. We often hear that every place has its own unique energy. This energy can be felt not only by animals, but also by highly sensitive people. In our fast-paced world, we either stopped paying attention to it or simply forgotten how to sense this invisible energy that once felt so real and important to our ancestors. And perhaps the Domovoy doesn't exist in a way Slavs once imagined him, as a kind of energy that's invisible to human eye, yet very much present all around us. One way or another, the image of Domovoy, along with rituals and customs connected to him, was an important part of everyday life for our ancestors. And as we know, folk memory never preserves anything useless or meaningless. If you enjoy this journey into Slavic mythology, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. And tell me in the comments, do you believe in house spirits? Or maybe you had an unexplainable experience yourself? I'd love to hear your story. Thanks for watching, and may your home always be warm, peaceful and protected.